How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact. It's snowing like crazy here in Berlin today, so I thought I'd do some more sound design. So we're going to jump into this little bass patch here, which is going to be the snowy patch. We're going to play it along with a little beat. So it's kind of a growly kind of neurofunk bass with a lot of different pitches and automations, and I've just used these drum samples. They're some of my favorite from one of my friends. They're called Laut Neuro drums. I'm going to leave a link down below. You can get a discount as well, and it also helps me out if you click on the link. So I'm going to leave that there, but they're really tight samples. They're kind of my go-to at the moment. But we're going to jump into this patch, which is, it starts off with, again, a bit of snowy vibes, so.
Snowy, 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 snowy.
So what I did was I just typed in snowy in the text-to-speech wavetable synthesizer thingamajiggy, and then I thought I would really like FM the hell out of it to this second oscillator here. So this one is just another preset, which is, yeah, so this is again, it's just a kind of modified sine wave. This one is in mono again, and the oscillator one here is with 3 unison, and there's just a small percentage, so I'm making it a bit wide but not too wide. And this is then FMing from here. And already we get a really interesting result when we've used this FM2 thing here. In terms of the modulation on this, again, I've kept it fairly simple, but we're using actually 3 different LFOs at different speeds. But the main 2 that you need to be aware of is this LFO 2, which is going at one quarters, but it's dotted here, so you choose dotted, and then it's going to give you that offbeat rhythm of LFO, and then it's the same here on the LFO 1, but I've done it at half a bar, so it's also dotted, so it's kind of an offbeat groove, but it's just half the speed. So we can apply these 2 separately to a few different parameters, and then create like basically a wicked sound. So the thing I've applied it to again is this like this smear mode, because what that does is it kind of, if we listen without, if I just turn this one off and then turn it back on, it brings out that kind of growl, and that's the kind of giving this neurofunk growl its sort of signature sound. Like, it's a quick and easy way to get a nice growl out of the sound. If we have a listen with, if I were to turn this FM all the way down,
Snowy, 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 snowy.
We then just, you hear the wavetable as it was kind of normally, but then when we're turning this FM up, it's like being modulated by this sine wave that we have below, and that's creating this like new texture basically.
Snowy, 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 snowy.
So that's really interesting, and we're moving away from that kind of text-to-speech sound and into some new territory. If we go all the way up, it's going to get even more sort of abstract. But I want to keep a little bit of that human character in still, so I've just left it as sort of a quarter here. And then we're rocking on to the third oscillator, which is this, it's another vital sine, but this one is an octave up, so we're filling out a bit more of that sort of higher mid-range frequency in the spectrum. We listen to that one on its own. I've applied a weird effect to this sound, and basically what it is I've put a really fast LFO on the pitch here, so we get this kind of vibrato pitch thing, which it sounds quite terrible on its own, and it's like detuned, and it doesn't really make sense. But because we're FMing it into this vital sign 2, you know, it completely you don't really hear that weird pitch stuff anymore, because it's being used as a sort of precursor effect. And if I were to take it off, so this is the LFO with the pitching on. If I were to take this all the way down, and we reintroduce it, what it's doing is it's kind of just creating a bit more of like a kind of fast moving texture to the combination of both of these oscillators, if that makes any sense. So it's just a small kind of abstract effect that you can try out, you know, just playing around with the pitch, and you know, and then when you're doing that and then FMing it, frequency modulating it, then you're going to get different results. So it's just another little parameter that you can play with, basically. We put them all together and we've got quite an interesting sound now. We go on to the filter here. It's a bit of extra movement, and we're actually just modulating the first oscillator. I'm leaving the kind of main sine wave ones intact without this kind of filtering, just because that's what sort of sounded good at the time. But yeah, that's all pretty much done for this page. And then as we go on to the effects, we got a 3 on here. This chorus does quite a lot. If you leave the mix all the way up and take this modulation off, really widens out the sound. But I actually wanted to just use a little bit of this effect, so I've just left the mix up. And then it's working on one of these LFOs in a reverse direction. So basically it starts with a lot of chorus on. So it starts really, really wide, but then it pretty quickly goes into a sort of less chorused sound. And this is actually interesting, because if it was on the hitting at the same time as the kicks and the snares, you would have this kind of the impact of the kick or the snare would shine through more, because there's so much chorusing and width in the sound for this temporary beginning part. And then as the kick and the snare have done their job of hitting through, then this chorus is decreased in effect, and then this bass begins to take like the center stage, if you know what I mean. And then all we've got is a bit of compression, just bringing out that sort of character of the sound again. And then I've applied a little bit of flanging in a similar way to the chorus, so it's just like a little bit flangy at the start of the sound, and then it quickly goes back into sort of a less affected version, which is a bit cleaner. So that's an interesting little modulation as well. And then we've got a lot of movement and pitching and stuff, and the MIDI patch is pretty crazy. If you look here as well, obviously you can feel free to make whatever you like. But in a very short space of time, we've got a whole bass line with a lot of movement, a lot of nice kind of growly textures. And then again, I would go on to post-process this and do a lot more with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoy this little tutorial. Definitely feel free to comment and let me know if you have any other tips yourself for how to use this awesome synth. And we can hopefully improve together. And yeah, peace out.